This is the Nikon Z6, a $2,000 full-frame mirrorless camera with 24 megapixels and pretty beautiful 4K video. And I'm also filming this on the Nikon Z6 with their new 35mm f1.8 lens. This is Nikon's new full-frame Z mount. We've been working on our Z7 review at the same time, but the Z7 is a very different camera. It's $3,400, it's 45 megapixels. And frankly, we have higher expectations for a camera that's that expensive. This one's much more affordable. The lenses are less expensive too, so they match up better with the more consumer-oriented $2,000 body. Still not cheap, but much more affordable than $3,400. We have a full review coming up. In fact, we're in Florida for the Nikon press event, but today I wanted to cover the basics of the Nikon Z6 image quality. So let's start out by comparing the mechanical shutter to the electronic shutter on the Nikon Z6. What I found was, even at ISO 100, you could see an improvement in sharpness by using the silent electronic shutter over just the mechanical shutter. And when I compare it to other 24 megapixel cameras like DSLRs with just a mechanical shutter, indeed the Z6 does provide sharper images. So for things like landscapes or product photography where you're using a tripod, that electronic shutter really does improve sharpness by just eliminating that little bit of shutter shake. You have to be very deliberate about how you use the electronic shutter, because as you increase the ISOs, you begin to see banding under certain types of light, like LEDs, specifically like the LEDs that we use in our studio. This is going to be important if you shoot events and you hope to use that mirrorless silent shutter so you don't disturb people at, say, a wedding event. Like the Z7 and the A7 III, the Nikon Z6 shows pretty appalling banding at ISO 6400 and totally reasonable shutter speeds like those that you would use at an event. While it's not necessarily image ruining at ISO 6400, it is really, really noticeable. As you increase the shutter speed and increase the ISO, you see that banding more and more and more. And sports photographers who plan to shoot indoors should be aware of this. You probably will not be able to use the silent shutter for these situations. Fortunately, the Z6 does have a mechanical shutter, but again, you're going to be switching between them continuously to avoid running into these types of problems. Now let's compare the Z6 to its big brother, the Nikon Z7. The Z7, of course, much more expensive, higher megapixel, and a slightly more capable camera. However, as far as video goes, they're very similar, and 24 megapixels is going to be enough for most people. Let's first look at using the 24-70 kit lens at ISO 100. Here, the 45 megapixel Z7 is noticeably sharper than the Z6, even using the relatively unsharp kit lens. Notice that the lights hit the book a little differently. I moved the stuff around between different shoots. Now let's compare the dynamic range of the two cameras in optimal conditions. We're shooting at the base ISO here, 64 on the Z7 versus 100 on the Z6. And that difference means that the Z7 is gathering 2/3 a stop more light, and I expect to see that in the shadows when I raise the overall exposure. Some people misunderstand the purpose of this test. They think that it's simulating people who miss their exposure by 6 stops. And nobody could possibly miss their exposure by 6 stops, especially with the auto exposure systems. That's not what it's testing. This is simulating raising the shadows in landscape situations, especially where you're shooting sunrises or sunsets. Often the foreground is in deep shadow, and to simulate what the human eye sees, which is far more dynamic range than a camera typically captures, you need to compress that dynamic range by bringing up the shadows so that you can peer into them without completely blowing out the highlights. It's not because you're a bad photographer if you need to do this, it's just because you're shooting high dynamic range situations, which are actually really common. Here we see that the Nikon Z7 has vastly better dynamic range. The raised shadows look much, much better, as you'd expect from the fact that it's gathering more light and is a more expensive camera. Now let's raise the ISO up to 6400 and compare these two cameras. Here, the lower megapixels of the Nikon Z6 might at first glance make it look like it has lower noise, and maybe technically it does, but the Z7 shows far more detail because of the higher megapixels. We can trade this detail for lower noise simply by increasing the noise reduction in Lightroom. And for me, I generally prefer to have more detail, even if it means higher noise, because it's easy to make that trade-off and pick between detail and low noise. So if you need a shoot in low light, the Z7 is probably worth the extra $400. Now let's compare the Canon EOS R to the Nikon Z6. The EOS R is $2,300, whereas the Z6 here is only $2,000, so it has a little bit of a price advantage. It's not a totally fair comparison because the only kit lens native kit lens for the EOS R brings the price up to $3,400, whereas the only kit lens for the Z6 here has the price at $2,600. And indeed, most of the differences we're going to see in this comparison are due to the fact that the Canon EOS R has a much higher quality and more expensive kit lens. We hope Nikon releases some higher quality zooms soon. Well, I'm sure they will. It's on the roadmap, but right now we're comparing what we have. At ISO 100, we can see that the EOS R generally looks a little bit better owing to two factors. The fact that it has 30 megapixels over just the 24 in the Z6, but also owing to the fact that the Canon lens itself is more expensive and better quality. It's simply sharper throughout the entire zoom range. Let's raise the exposure 6 stops and look at the dynamic range, and here we can see the Nikon Z6 clearly wins. Dynamic range continues to be a weak spot for Canon sensors. Is the Canon's extra noise a problem in the real world? Yeah, it could be a little bit of a problem. I've ran into a couple of night photography scenarios where I raised the shadows enough in just normal photography that you could see some distinct banding. So if you were doing that sort of photography, the Z6 would be a better choice. Let's zoom into 70 millimeters to test basically the sharpness of the comparable kit lenses. And here we see again the Canon EOS R lens is quite a bit sharper. Combined with the 30 megapixels of the EOS R, we're just seeing much more detail and a generally better looking image. The Canon lens also zooms in all the way to 105 millimeters, making it a more versatile lens. So if we zoom into 105 millimeters on the Canon and then crop the Nikon to match, we see the importance of that if there are times when you cannot step a little bit closer, which is pretty common in the real world. If you need that extra versatility and sharpness, and you have to get the kit lens that's for sale right now, the Canon setup is generally more versatile and useful. Let's go up to ISO 6400 and see how they compare in low light. Here the Z6 is definitely lower noise, however the EOS R is sharper. And again, we can trade some of that detail for lower noise by increasing the noise reduction, so it's not a clear win-lose. Generally, I prefer the more detailed files from the EOS R. Now let's compare the Z6 here to the Sony a7 III. The a7 III body is the same price at $2,000. However, the lens that we're comparing, the 24-105, is more expensive than the 24-70 f4 that's on here. This makes the Sony kit $3,300 while the Z6 kit is $2,600. And I know Sony has a 24-70 f4 and a 28-70 f4. However, we didn't like either of those lenses, and it would be a more fair comparison, but we simply don't own them, so we're comparing them against what we have. That's simply the best that we can do right now. As with the Canon, the Sony lens is sharper, and that shows throughout the range, especially here at ISO 100. However, at ISO 100, I don't really see any other differences in image quality. I think the Nikon sensor is very similar to the Sony sensor if they're not exactly the same sensor. Raising the exposure 6 stops to check the dynamic range on both, and I think the Z6 looks a little bit cleaner, so maybe it wins for the dynamic range. However, they're both very good and should be good enough for basically any scenario. Now let's take a look at high ISO, ISO 6400. Here at ISO 6400, both cameras show basically the same amount of noise. Again, the sensors are very similar. The Sony continues to be a little bit sharper, again, owing to the lens, not necessarily to the body. Let's go all the way up to ISO 50,000. We can see that that banding is apparent when using the silent shutter on both cameras. It would also go away if we use the mechanical shutter, but I wanted to make the point that this high ISO fast shutter banding under LED lights is not a problem specific to the Nikon, but is shared with the entire current batch of top-end mirrorless cameras. Okay, I hope that was helpful. We're going to be taking a lot of shots with the Z6. We're going to have the Nikon folks really training us how to get the most out of it, and we'll follow up with a review of this and the Z7, as well as other reviews we owe you, like the EOS R and the X-T3. Subscribe to see those videos, and of course, if you have any questions or things you want us to test, write a comment down below. Bye.